Let's dive back into the history of higher education and work our way back to the 20th century. Due to the Cold War and the Eisenhower administration's preoccupation with defeating Soviet interests, massive amounts of funding were made available to universities for purposes of academic research. This emphasis on research allowed for increased funding for many colleges. During this time, research became emphasized over academic priorities. Because of this heavy emphasis, professors and administrators were preoccupied with developing knowledge for their own sake, instead of developing knowledge to benefit society. They were often rewarded with promotion and tenure. In research universities, academic research is of course highly valued and extensively practiced. Faculty members are expected to not only engage in research, but also publish their findings and write grants for further research developments. Northeastern, like many institutions in the mid to late 20th century, began to prioritize this. Currently, Northeastern is identified as having the highest research activity by the Carnegie Foundation for the Advancement of Teaching. By the 1980s, academics sensed that colleges were not truly nurturing or focusing on each student's sense of civic responsibilities. The media portrayal of the average college student in this decade was typically that of a materialistic, self-absorbed individual, not particularly interested in helping others. The Education Commission of the United States noted that if there is a crisis in education in the United States today, it is less that test scores have declined than it is that we have failed to provide the education for citizenship that is still the most significant responsibility of the nation's schools and colleges. The president of the commission, Frank Newman, and the presidents of Georgetown, Brown, and Stanford founded an organization called Campus Compact in 1986. Their mission was and still is to deepen the ability of higher education institutions to improve community life and educate students for civic and social responsibility. As of now, the Compact has a coalition of nearly 1,100 of these institutions. Their first effort focused on student voting, since in the 1980s, voter turnout among 18 to 25-year-olds was extremely low. The college presidents knew that if they could get their students to the polls, it would be a good start to encourage further engagement. These efforts were successful in increasing young voter turnout over the next few major election cycles. By 1993, the National Community Service Trust Act was passed, leading to the development of Learn and Serve, federal legislation which provided funding to expand resources and research for civic engagement in both K-12 schools and colleges. Throughout the decade, more community service centers were established in colleges. Publications and conferences on civic engagement, service learning, and community outreach also increased over the next 2 decades. Northeastern's Community Service Office began in 1999 and has grown and changed in the last 25 plus years. As of now, almost every higher ed institution has some form of community engagement. At Northeastern, our Community Service and Civic Engagement Office includes a plethora of robust opportunities for students, staff, faculty, and community members, such as Alternative Spring Breaks, the Northeastern Votes Coalition, and 2 AmeriCorps programs. There are also several adjacent offices that support service learning, community-engaged research, and engagement with local residents. Across our campus network, new roles are being added to support engaging with the local community. On our Oakland campus, we are building on a long-standing tradition of deep engagement with the community. On our newer campuses, we are getting to know local neighbors, government offices, and local nonprofits to build partnerships and collaborations. As a member of the Northeastern community, we hope you appreciate this historical look at the history of civic engagement within higher education. We are part of a national movement, both historic and current, to reclaim the mission of higher education institutions to create and shape citizens that can and will work collaboratively with communities to address local issues. As the field of civic engagement expands and changes over time, and Northeastern continues to grow and change, our goal is for community engagement to continue to be meaningfully integrated into the Northeastern experience.